I know we just went through a little bit of this in the Ways and Means Committee, but just for talking through, I know, could you just give us the figures on how much this bill appropriates, both on the capital side and because education dollars are included in this as well?
Yes. So this bill would enact the capital projects bill for the state fiscal year 18-19, includes an all funds appropriation of $50.1 billion, of which $35.1 billion relates to education. And in terms of the appropriation, the bill authorizes disbursements of up to $49.4 billion on an all funds basis for capital projects, of which $35.7 billion is related to education.
And I know that we've had settlement dollars available to the state that we've received and available to be used. What is the amount of settlement dollars that are being utilized in the 2018-19 budget?
Yes, so we make no change to the allocation that the executive presented to us. It's $702 million in settlement funds received since last year's enacted budget. To break that down, it's $383 million for general fund relief, $194 million in operating aid, which partially funds our subway action plan, and $125 million for health care capital grants.
And do we have any carryover or set or determined dollars that are settlement dollars that could be able to tap yet?
No, we do not.
Although we could receive something during the year, obviously, for the future.
Right. There's nothing at the moment.
But some of this, typically, we've tried to use settlement dollars for one-time uses. This year, we're using some of it for general operating dollars or to offset the overall general fund.
Yes, correct.
With the state and municipal facilities fund, you did not provide that any money for that, I believe, in your one house bill, but this bill does provide a sixth year of funding for that, and I believe $385 million, and then some additional dollars of $90 million. Is there a specific purpose or project identified for the new funding or additional funding that we've added, the 90?
Right. So the total is $490 million. There are not any specific projects, but it is for restoration for infrastructure and construction projects within the state and the municipal facilities program. Then there's a long list of eligible entities.
You had mentioned, my figures, I'm looking 475, or you said 490, is it 4?
Okay. I think I did say 490. I think that's a result of several nights of no sleep. So it is 475.
I think I'll forgive you, if you will, when I may not get it right. One of the, besides Sam, there have been several other discretionary pots, such as bullet aid and $5 million provided for the nonprofit human service organizations that we brought up before. Are there any other discretionary pots included throughout the budget? You going?
There are various pots of money with designated purposes.
Maybe we'll talk about a few of those in a minute. Well, one of the things that I did see that that I have some specific interest on, there is targeted, I believe, up to $45 million for Lake Ontario, St. Lawrence, emergency flooding recovery money from the extensive flooding that was experienced last year. And we had a bipartisan effort in this House and along with the Senate on working to get dollars there. Just clarification, is this $45 million in addition to anything else that we made available last year?
Yes, it is, and actually it's 40 million, so we're each off with a number
All right,
tonight.
thank you. All right, now I feel balanced. Is that, do you feel sufficient or feel that this is sufficient resources to meet the needs? We've had several thousand claims that came in. We just, I want to make sure that what we've done here, what we did before, that we should be able to meet all the claims that the state has promised to pay.
Well, we also have the revenue bill, which will be coming, and I believe that we'll be able to have a short conversation at that time with some additional revenues that will be available for Ontario.
Thank you. On the economic development side, there is, I see that the budget does contain the governor's $300 million proposal for high technology, innovation, and economic development infrastructure. How is this money different from the Economic Development Fund or the New York Works Economic Development Fund?
It really is just a different name with a different focus.
And who will make the determination on that?
Is this part of the cap? So it is 300 million. ESDC will make the final determinations, and this will be based upon, in some parts, based upon the Regional Economic Development Council's recommendations.
One of the things that came up during our discussions at the budget hearings was whether or not some of our institutions of higher learning in the state, either private or public ones, might be able to utilize these resources as well if they were developing programs or working in concert and developing the types of technology, high technology that that these dollars would focus on.
There isn't a restriction in these funds, but they are designed for for projects that create or retain jobs and have a private-public partnership.
Will the executive or the executive with consultation of the legislature be making the determinations of who is eligible or not? Or
again, ESDC based upon the REDC's recommendations. Right, and you know, I'm sure you're aware, Bob, but perhaps others aren't, that we have it's called CFA, Consolidated Funding Application, so that entities can apply for development grants through that process.
I know that there were proposals of having greater oversight on some of our economic development dollars. It seems here that we have some expansion in those dollars. We had the comptroller suggesting that he should have more oversight and whatever. Have we done that at all here? And don't you think he should and we should have more oversight of those sums of money, especially that aren't targeted to something specific that we know it's going to be spent on?
Yes, we did put that in our one house, but we were not able to get agreement with the executive to include it in this bill.
Will the comptroller have any ability to review or audit those programs or funds that might be?
I think they have some limited authority in some situations. I couldn't really delineate which ones at this time.
How much funding does the budget include for another round of the REDCs, the Regional Economic Development?
150 million is for the 8th round.
Typically, the governor waits until late in the year, and the regions and all of us as legislators are kind of in the dark on who's going to be receiving any of those dollars and who is going to be receiving those dollars. Have we in this budget changed any of the REDC process to provide greater transparency in that process?
No, there is not.
In the housing area, I know there's a $250 million capital funding. Are there reporting requirements along with that program?
Well, there is a requirement of a plan to start with. And it's anticipated there will be an executive order by the governor which will outline some of the parameters and more fully discuss how that money would be spent.
Do we know how many units or buildings can be expected to be repaired with that $250 million, or?
We don't know at this time, but there is an ongoing process to determine the number of buildings and the state of the needed repairs based on the state of the situation of predominantly some of the boilers in the various NYCHA developments.
Thank you very much for your comments on these issues. I know there's other topics that a few others might want to ask. Thank you.